Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to another episode of Big Hero News. Kia ora Chewy, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Pat. Yeah, good. Very tired.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say there. It's been a good day down in Dunedin. I'm sure it's going to shit itself any minute now.
Yeah, no, it's been a cracker actually. I spent about 3 hours of today inside with my 17-year-old packaging up hoodies and t-shirts. So that was a long.
Put them to work, Pat.
I admin. Part of my dyslexia is admin and that kind of stuff. Just doesn't fly with me. It's like I would almost rather do anything else, and it's always a struggle for me to get to. So yes, I came away from that and had to have a rest for a half hour after entering, just doing this and packaging and doing this and packaging. Very, very tiring. But yes, a very good day. Very nice day as well. Got out to the park with the dog. It was a good time had by one and all. How about yourself? Just busy?
Yeah, we got not COVID, thank fuck, but just a lot of sickness floating around at the moment. So short-handed at work and just really doing double duty. With cruise ship in town, so
yeah, I saw that actually.
I'm a tired wee potato.
I drove past the railway station today, and there was dozens and dozens and dozens of obvious tourists there taking photos on the cracker over day. So yeah, noticed that out and about. So yeah, busy old day, good old day. There goes my little camera. Wonder why I did that. Anyway, just to keep you on your toes. Interesting show tonight because a couple of things about the government, incoming government. We're going to have a look at the opening day at Parliament. We're going to have a look at the Māori King and his call for a unity hui. Really interesting, Chewy. I'll get into more details when we play this, but this current government is looking to save a whole bunch of money out of the public sector. So what they're doing is they're going around looking who is getting bonuses and just like complete coincidence, like guess who was the first round of people that they found with a bonus that they're going to get rid of. The first one that they identified. Yeah, you're right. It's the Māori speakers. So the first bonus they've identified to get rid of, just a coincidence, for no real reason, is bonuses paid to Māori speakers in Parliament. It's complete coincidence. Doesn't mean anything. Just a complete coincidence. Crazy.
Jesus,
and they mentioned
optics.
Yeah.
What do they not know what that is?
No. And they mentioned a really big number, like 800,000 or whatever it was, being paid out. If you work it out per person, that's $1,500 bonus a year. $1,500 on average per person per year for this thing. But we know austerity is on the way. We know austerity within the public sector is on the way. But as you say, optics, they're getting accused left, right, and center already of being sort of the most race-baiting government we've ever had. And the very first number one bonuses they choose to get rid of are the Māori speaking bonuses. Okay, just put it to the end, guys. So then when someone goes, oh, you only do that because you're a racist, they can go, well, actually, this is the 19th bonus we've got rid of, so it's no difference. Rather than, no, it's coincidentally the first. Just a coincidence, Chewy?
Just absolutely stunning lack of awareness. Cool. Not surprised.
We're also going to talk a little bit about, we haven't really touched on this week. I know we've talked about it, you and me, a few times, the so-called whistleblower, Barry Young. We're going to have a bit of a chat about him today because he has been on Alex Jones's show. And the way I see it is Alex Jones is using this deluded man, this man who could well have significant mental health issues. He is caught into a lie to grift off and raise money from selling his penis pills to pay his $2.4 billion lawsuit. So that's about as far as I look into it. This American grifter has found his latest grifting target, who happens to be a New Zealander who has made some monumental fuck-ups and mistakes, and he's now banking money off the back of that man's falling out from reality. So we'll have a look at that as well, because I wasn't really going to touch it, but it's sort of rolling on a bit. There's now court cases and there's charges, and but Liz Gunn is making her way to Alex Jones. Alex Jones is calling her lawyer Liz Gunn because she did law about 93 years ago. Lawyer and broadcaster. It's a really interesting thing. And on top of all of this is just I'll watch it so you don't have to. Some of the people out there in the conspiracy theory ecosystem are just now going hard nuts against David Seymour and against Winston Peters for them not listening to all this horse shit. So as we've always said, if you're not in 100%, then you're the enemy. So people like Winston Peters in particular, who are grifting in some ways, grifting for votes off this community, is now this community is turning on him with one thing. So one thing's come up, one idea that they have to say he has to stick with them. He didn't, and they're going at him now. So it's really fascinating to watch from the outside sitting in. All right. Anything else, Chewy? While I look over at my screen and decide where the hell we're going to start on this monumental fuck up of a show.
I assume you're going to touch on some of the speeches from today from the House.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a look at the one news story from that. That's why don't we start there then? It's the one news story though. Ironically, it doesn't really show any of Winston Peters. It doesn't show any of Winston Peters' speech, but apparently within his speech, they talk about his speech. He had a crack at the media, and I didn't see the speech that Winston made. I was busy stuffing envelopes. But it seems like he is still having a crack at the media for not covering him enough before the election. And I just kind of went, dude, you're in government. Move on. Like, if you're going to bang the horse for the rest of this term, fine, but you don't have to keep looking back and saying, you didn't cover me during the election. It's like, you're number two. Move on. Anyway.
He wasn't covered in the run-up to the election because for a lot of the run-up to the election, he wasn't likely to get in. He didn't feature highly enough in polls until Luxon refused to keep the door shut. So, that's why the media looked at him and go, why would we talk to this guy? He's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's funny because you can see how on some level we have different audiences here. Literally one after the other. We have Winston was on fire today, followed by Winston's speech was disgusting, literally next to each other in our chat. So, we get a spectrum of people here and people on the spectrum here in our chats, and we welcome you all as long as it's always respectful. I do notice sometimes in the chat, some people go, I don't see those comments because I've blocked that person. I would prefer, I can see what you've already loaded up, Chewy. I've seen those as well. We'll get to those later on. I haven't got them. You can keep them there. If you're someone, let me be honest with you, I don't really do much with the chat. Chewy looks after it more than me because I'm pushing buttons and stuff. But if you're someone that lots of the group is blocking or banning, that sends me a message that say there might be a problem with you. You're the constant issue in this area. And if that is happening within the chat, that is probably something that's worthy of talking over. We don't ban many people, but if there's an instigator in there, that's always in there that lots of people are blocking. That's sort of part of the red flags, at least in my book, Joe, for people who maybe are only there for the sake of shit stirring and not conversing. Just a thought, just putting it out there. Right, so let's have a look what happened in the House today. Pretty fiery, and Luxon had a crack at Hipkins, and Hipkins had a crack at Luxon, and here is the Silver Fox to tell us more.
Under new management or a shambolic start, the Prime Minister and his opposite number trading barbs on the first day back in the House. The red carpet was rolled out for the official start of our 54th Parliament. The Governor-General laying out the government's plans. Political editor Jessica Much-Mackay was there.
A dignified and grand state opening of Parliament.
See, this pomp and majesty, pomp and ceremony that we're seeing here. Last night when I said the thing about swearing allegiance to the king, and it's been a kind of a part of the tradition and the pomp of what we've done, but now's a good time to start asking the questions, can we have an alternative? I see that band coming up, and that kind of fits in the same area. Pomp, ceremony, history. As a brass band that relevant to New Zealanders today? Probably not, but it's all a part of the kind of, the majesty of the thing. You know what I mean, Shoei? So that's, I can see that conversation we had last night in that as well.
I think just this little clip that we've had is a perfect example of what a lot of New Zealand should be. You have the brass military band, you have the military members there, and it's very much a sign of a country that has been part of the British Empire and that sort of thing. Very much those traditions. But then we do have right there, we have the honge, we have the karawai, we have the challenges as they come on and that sort of thing. It is the blending of our histories and culture. That is a good thing. That is, in my mind, what the treaty is about. Let's see both sides that came together to sign a treaty. We have lost that, and we haven't lost it. It's definitely there, but I want to see more than just lip service.
Yeah,
so that's what I see when I see this.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You see both sides. You say both sides, and I think many sides, because I'm like, you're right, because we talk about we are a multicultural country, but we are founded on a bicultural agreement. So historically speaking, biculturalism, today's melting pot, multiculturalism. So I wonder if there's another question to ask, like at these sorts of this is the opening of our government. Should there be more representation from what New Zealand looks like today? That might go hand in hand with that conversation around who do we swear allegiance to? Big questions, but we've been told by many we're allowed to ask these questions. All right, let's keep going.
The Governor-General declaring it's open for business, laying out the government's plan for the next 3 years.
I think she did that by walking through a door and having a little bell go ding, 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 ding. That's how they declare it's open. I think that's how they do it.
Hello.
A tough listen for those banished to the opposition benches. But with a pump done and dusted, it didn't take long for the MPs to crack into it.
New Zealand is under new management.
Repeated use of the words like stop, repeal, replace, reverse, disestablish. A plan to go backwards, not a plan to take New Zealand forward.
Lots of people saying but lots of people saying that Chippy has kind of found a voice. It's just a pity he did it 8 to 12 months too late.
Yeah.
And so when I say fair enough for the criticism of Chippy, what I'm just saying in the game of politics, it's like when your team beats the other team in sport, you get to hold it over them. You get to hold the trophy for another season until they get to challenge you again. So you can, all's fair in love and politics. Is that the same? Something like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
The new Prime Minister got personal, asking why Chris Hipkins is still Labour leader.
I've been thinking about Chris Hipkins a little bit. I just have to say he is actually like an arsonist who, having thrown an accelerant all over the joint and lit the place up, he doesn't just slink off, actually leaving the scene, realising he's caused a huge amount of damage. He doesn't actually fess up, put his hand up, apologise to the New Zealand people and actually say he got it wrong. He just simply loiters and hangs around at the scene of the crime, actually just waiting and watching everything.
It's a little bit inflammatory, if you'll excuse the pun.
But Chris Hipkins hit back, saying the government's plan to look at ditching bonuses for te reo speakers in the public service is disgraceful.
And we'll go more into this with our second clip from News Hub. So that's got quite a long bit about the King and also more about the te reo speakers in Parliament. But we're going to comment more on that later on. But here's what Chris Hipkins had to say about it.
I believe that te reo Māori is a taonga for New Zealand.
Oh, look, we want to encourage people to learn te reo. It's a fantastic language. But, the Minister quite rightly is taking advice and taking a review of all the bonuses.
That's just ugly. It's ugly to hear that kōrero.
This just makes me sick because I have seen so much effort.
We all have to deal with policies that we disagree with. I'm sorry if it's had that effect on Willie personally. But I also just make the point that taxpayers are giving up a lot of money in return for public services.
National MPs James Meagher and Katie Nimmin were handpicked to go first with the maiden speeches today.
You will go down as one of the most important politicians the South Island will have ever seen.
You're going to go a long way in politics.
All reports come back that this, I didn't actually see the full thing, as I said, but forget where you sit politically, but actually from a speech, all reports say that this guy did a spectacular job with the maiden speech. And he has a very interesting line about the left not owning Māori. And it's an interesting line because I don't think it's true necessarily. I mean, no one owns Māori. I know what he's saying, but certainly the left are more open to helping Māori rather than hindering Māori. But it was all in all reported very highly as a very good speech he made.
Do I get to reclaim that time back, Mr. Speaker, to the end of my speech?
Most certainly.
The former National staffer giving the speech of the day.
Part Māori boy raised in a state house by a single parent on the benefit. Now a proud National Party MP in a deeply rural farming electorate in the middle of the South Island. But there is no contradiction there. Members opposite do not own Māori. Members opposite do not own the poor.
The scene is set.
So good speech, yeah. I mean, like, I'm not saying we agree with it, but from the perch, a good speech, Stuart. You don't like me saying that, do you?
No, I get what people are saying. I've watched the speech. It is an excellent speech.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw my reaction when he got to that part, right? I don't understand this, and I never understood this with John Key. I never understood this with Paula Bennett. These guys, you know, how can you look at your solo mum living in a state house, getting a government benefit, seeing all of that, seeing how that helps people, you grow up and you go, no, I'm going to stand against all of it.
Yeah, I'm going to fuck them over.
I don't get it. There's a fundamental, just a schism. I do not understand this. I like from apart from him being Māori, you know, I grew up in a state house.
Right.
I grew up with both parents, but at some point supported by a benefit and that sort of thing. And what I saw there was a safety net for the people of this country provided by the government. And come hell or high water, I will protect that for people. I don't understand how he's gotten to this place. I honestly would love to sit down and find out what his thought process is on that.
Well, let's do it. Let's ask him.
I think that the media has also tripped over themselves, praising him for his speech to an unseemly degree, with people already saying, that's a future prime minister.
Yeah, that's a bit far.
And I'm like, dial that back a little bit.
One of the interesting things I did say, and I noticed some people in the chat are also picking up on it, is the part Māori, a part Māori boy, as opposed to, so, you know.
He's just Māori. He's Māori.
Yeah, but that was interesting. All right, let's go to see some more from the House today.
For a fiery first question time tomorrow.
Okay, you're expecting feisty tomorrow, Jess. The leaders launched into it today, though. What did you make of it?
Each of the leaders got 30 minutes for the speeches today, so they could really stretch their legs a bit. Chris Hipkins went first, and he seemed to be relishing in that new role of opposition leader. He was so energised, in fact, he even seemed to lose his voice at the end of that half an hour. He had a crack at the new Prime Minister for reading his speech notes too much, but Christopher Luxon hit back saying he writes all his own speeches. Thank you very much. This was a big day for the new Prime Minister. He really came out aggressively. He was trying to rub salt in the wound of Labour in this speech. Unsurprisingly, Winston Peters had a crack at the media during his speech. He spent a bit of it talking about his criticism of not getting enough coverage during the election campaign. He also took a swipe at the Serious Fraud Office for its ongoing legal case relating to the New Zealand First Foundation.
It's just all about me. Me, Winston. I've been wronged. My group has been wronged. Me. It just seems a bit, I mean, people have seen it, so I can't comment so much on it, but it's just the reporting of it sounds like a old man yells at cloud. We've said that last night about some of the Winston stuff. It's just like, you know, get off my lawn kind of thing. It's really, I don't know.
Maybe, like, I mean, it's the season, man. Maybe he's a fan of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's Festivus. It's time for the festival poll and the settling of scores.
All right. Nothing like a good festival poll.
Now that all the formalities are wrapped up here at Parliament, it'll be back to business as usual tomorrow.
Can't wait.
There you go. So there's the first one. That's pretty much the report from the House today. Feisty opening hours. I mean, what can we really learn from it? Probably not much. Luxon having some good jabs back. At least I write my own speeches. You know, Hipkins having some good jabs, reading too much from the lines like a guy from boarding school or something. It's just interesting setup. Interesting to see if Luxon will be passive or aggressive or what he'll be in the House. I also think back to the whole we talked about we might have talked about this once. Did you realise he was the CEO of Air New Zealand? Did you know that?
I had heard rumours.
Yeah. But the whole talk about CEOs don't have to get up and fight in their board meetings like that, so it'll be interesting to see if he's got the skills for that or not. Which is as of yet untested. We don't know, but it will be interesting to see how that works.
Someone reminded me today, actually. Do you remember when Air New Zealand tried to copyright Kia ora.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
him. Yeah, it was him.
Absolute, absolute. Just yeah. Can I put up what I've got queued up, Pat?
Yeah. Do you want to set it all up? I know exactly what it is. I've seen it. They go about at least 4 pictures there, is there?
It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Chat, here you go. The Chloe Swarbrick reacting to I don't know whose speech it was, but just reacting. Just I'm there with you, Chloe. That's just Yep. 3 more years.
Yeah, so I mean, it was what it was. It was an opening, a gaping opening. I don't know, an opening wound, whatever it was. And I'm just intrigued to see where they go from here. There's going to be a sense of how they run the House, who's and what. I mean, Jerry Brownlee said the other day that he's not going to be as strict as other speakers have been. That he's going to let more things go, like as in conversational wise, because he basically gets to decide whether something is appropriate or not in the House. It sounds like he's saying he can let more of it go. I don't know whether that means it'll be advantage to national speakers or to Labour speakers or all of them above, but it's these up into between now and Christmas, we'll see have a bit more of an understanding as to how that House is going to actually operate. But yeah, so there's not really much commentary to put on that yet, other than let's wait and see what happens. Let us wait and see.
The other thing from what's his name, Mega's speech is what was that fawning, ass-kissing bit about Brownlee being one of the best political leaders the South Island's ever seen?
Yep.
Whoa, mate.
I mean, but to be honest, I can appreciate it from the point of a speech. Like if he was doing a speech at school and it was a competition, I get it. But it's not. I know that it's not. So that's why I'm just saying it was a pretty good speech. The content-wise and for my political leanings, didn't like much of it at all. But, interesting to have someone who can sound like they're pretty good with him. I mean, I was actually surprised as a maiden speech how fucking confident he was. He was like, he sounded like he'd been there for a decade. So anyway. Let us say a big thanks to Nick for his $2 super chat. Nick just says my apologies now. Don't know what for. It's my apologies. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry for life. Sorry for the results from the election. I'm just sorry for everything. Dasi Lee, kia kaha, te reo Māori, kia kaha Aotearoa from Dasi Lee. Thank you, Dasi. Appreciate your super chat. Anakihi has actually sent us a couple there. First one says, class traitors, Chewy. Class traitors galore. And also...
I just don't see it. I mean, I can't remember if I'm quoting him or not, or paraphrasing. On one hand he was saying, look, I was raised by a solo mum in a state house on a benefit, and then at some point he pivots to basically saying she did it all on her own and didn't need anybody's help.
Yeah, which is impossible.
And it's just like, no, just acknowledge the fact that in this country there was help there for her, because your life would be dramatically different if it wasn't.
And as you're implying, if this government then pulls that ladder up, even if it takes a couple of rungs off that ladders, then what he's doing is not giving the generation now who would be his mother the same chance and opportunity and support that she had. That's the point. Anaki also says, part Māori, you mean co-governance within? It's quite good. It's quite clever. I like that, Anaki. Well done, mate. Yeah. So is there anything else in the chat that you've seen? I just stole all the super chats. Anything else you want to get out there?
Not really. I hadn't even been looking at the chat, really. Carl here has an excellent comment. It's what happens when you convince yourself that you got there on your own merits, no help whatsoever, despite receiving help and assistance from the state when his family needed it. Exactly.
It reminds me of Obama getting all that criticism he made in a speech once about the roads. And he went, you didn't build those roads. And he kind of didn't quite nail it down. But the point he was making was all these businesses that are succeeding, there's a lots of government intervention that helps you get to the point you are, whether it's the roads they built, obviously with money from people who are driving on those roads, but they did the roads, they set up the electricity grid. There's lots of, even if it's not direct support money in your bank, there's lots of stuff that government agencies, that local body councils, that, charities, that all sorts of things do to enable you to get to the place you're in. And if you're talking about a beneficiary, it is literally money in your bank. So that's one of the ways they enable, but there's a myriad of other ways that that these groups also enable businesses, other people to get where they want to get. The education system, the schools that we've got, it just goes on and on and on. Yeah. All right. What we'll do is we'll have a look at this. It's actually this story. The reason I'm using News Hubs was it actually covered off quite well. The Māori King's call for a hui on unity, and also what's happening in government getting rid of. They hinted at it at the last story, but this one covers it off better about the first bonuses they're going to get rid of are the Māori speaking bonuses. Now, as I said, it might be this story, it might have been the last one, which we didn't play all of, but it works out to be $1,500. Now, if you've ever worked in a place and you can bring a special skill set to that place, it often has a tangible financial benefit to you. So having Māori speakers in a government building where Māori speaking is essential because we have an agreement called the treaty that requires the input from Māori and Māori speakers to be in our legislation, our communications, all those sorts of things, then that's a valued bonus or a value added bonus that someone in that actual organization needs to have. And if you were applying for a job in broadcasting or a job at a charity and you were a fluent Māori speaker, it would probably add a premium to your application. So speaking Māori fluently would be a premium in many businesses or organizations in New Zealand. And what this government's now saying is it's got no premium in here. Speaking Māori fluently has no premium to this government. I'll tell you what, people often, I used to fight this on Talkback a bit, people would often talk about how Māori is not a commercial language. And I'm like, well, it is if you live in New Zealand. It is if you work in broadcasting. It is if you work in tourism, so it is within the boundaries of this country. So therefore, fluent Māori speakers, I could easily see how that would add a premium. If you're working in a bank and you had a large portion of Chinese nationals who were visiting your bank and you spoke Mandarin, I'm sure you could ask for a premium on your salary for a Mandarin speaker because it would be advantageous for that bank to have it. So what they're basically saying is we don't hold any value in this at all. And we're going to hit our targets over holding value in this extra skill that works out to be about $1,500 a year. Right. I think I've ruined the whole story, but let's get to it now.
The Māori King has issued a royal proclamation calling for a national hui in the wake of reforms announced by the new coalition government.
It'll be held next year with the aim of unifying concerned voices, and it'll continue into Ratana and Waitangi commemorations.
We talked last night, Chewie, after the protest or the Day of Unity, whatever they called it, of what's going to happen on Waitangi Day. Well, it sounds like the month leading up to Waitangi Day is going to be pretty bloody massive. You ain't seen nothing yet if you saw what happened last night. So it sounds like it's going to be freaking huge.
As Lloyd Burr reports, it comes as yet another Māori policy heads for the scrap heap, te reo bonuses in the public sector.
A pūkana on Parliament's forecourt, plenty of tikanga Māori. Governor-General Dame Cindy Kiro wearing a korowai. But inside the institution she was opening, changes for Māori are afoot.
So this is, Chewie, I reckon this, and I think you used the word last night, tokenism. This is what I think is tokenism. They let Māori do the singing and the dancing and the, and the traditional stuff, but then inside the building where they make policy, they go, nah, fuck that shit. That's kind of the definition of tokenism to me. Lots of organizations and stuff, like you guys know this, that I've been involved with religious organizations for quite a long time. They'll do a kia ora up the front, or they'll sing a song and they'll translate it into Māori and stuff. And I would always say to them, I think a better way that you could help Māori is, for example, your vote and how that impacts Māori 365 days a year, rather than opening of Parliament where you put a tokenistic amount of Māori in the ceremony because it's tradition. So this is when you say tokenism, even though I'm not obviously degrading the presentation of Māori here, but this government and what they're trying to do at the moment with the Māori community and amongst Māoridom, then to have this feels like tokenism and actually feels a bit patronizing to me.
I mean, this is, yeah, exactly. Like, I think of so many countries around the world where a language was almost lost. Like, I think of Finland, I think of Wales, I think of the Scots reclaiming their language and that sort of thing. And again, this plays into what I've said about Lux and the way that he always wants both sides, right? he doesn't want, you know, Māori to stop being Māori. Apparently, he doesn't want to encourage or do anything about it, though. But he also doesn't want it to decline. It's an absolute lack of respect.
Yeah.
And they can't see it. They can't see the optics of this. They can't see that it's going to be packaged with everything else that is anti-Māori in their first couple of actions.
Yeah.
It's just such a piddling small amount of money, and it is an absolute, in my opinion, a minimal thing that they can do to encourage te reo in the highest parts of our government, and what is the core part of this country.
Yeah.
Like, can they not see that that's an important thing?
I agree, but let's see if these guys agree with you as well.
Are afoot.
What's important is we take stock of all the bonuses that are being paid across the public service.
In particular, bonuses for
all the bonuses, but we'll just start with Māori speakers.
Public servants who speak fluent te reo Māori.
Yeah,
I have sought advice from the Public Service Commission about the circumstances in which these bonuses have been paid historically, the reason for them.
This is a policy that explicitly does not contribute to the quality of public services that people receive.
Now, that's the key. Seymour holds no value in it. That's the key, you see, and this is it now showing itself that Seymour thinks this has no value. He thinks speaking Māori within government agencies has no value, and if you think about Seymour like that, a lot of the other stuff, the horseshit that comes out of his mouth, makes sense. So he puts no value in te reo, and so therefore he's like, this serves no purpose because he puts no value in it, Chewy.
No, that's absolutely what it is. I don't see it any other way. And it's just, again, they'll throw that big number, $800 million, and you break it down and you're like, oh, it's $40 extra a week.
Yeah,
for those people.
We'll get the numbers.
So minimal.
Here we go. Let's look at them.
Seymour's compiled figures showing 547 public servants across 12 government departments were paid a total of nearly $800,000 this year alone.
So let's do that. 796,471.
Sorry.
Yeah. 796,471 divided by 547. It is $1,456. So it's $3 a week to those people on average to have Māori speakers. And when you see what Brent, and I see you've started that, says in the chat, if you speak any te reo at any job, you're constantly being asked to do extra, i.e. free stuff like karakia, porphyry, etc. So what this government is saying is they don't value, right? Write this down, tweet this out. They don't value the Māori language within government departments to the value of $3 per person per week. Because that's what it is. It's $1,496, or it's $1,500 per speaker. It's $3 a week. They don't hold that much value in it. That's what we're going to be dealing with for the next 3 years.
Loan for being fluent in te reo Māori.
When did these bonuses enter these agreements? What's the purpose of them? Are they delivering their purpose?
It's infuriating the opposition.
That those who speak fluent te reo Māori in public service roles should have their pay docked is simply disgraceful.
Sadly, I think it just confirms the backward focus of this government.
And not to uphold this thing, but everyone was talking about Māori Party drip last night. Just recognise, That's all I'm doing.
Yep.
Yep,
absolutely.
You got to recognise.
Focus of this government.
It makes me sick.
I'm sorry if it's had that effect on Willie personally.
As for public servants being paid to learn te reo Māori,
People who want to learn te reo or want to learn any other education actually pay for it themselves.
So if you really want to save the language, it's got to come from deep in your heart, and you've got to teach your children, and it's a struggle. You shouldn't just be incentivized at work.
So that means my children are going to miss out. Like if my children wanted to learn Māori, learn te reo, they're going to miss out because I can't teach them. Such horse shit from Shane Jones. You know, because even if it has to come from within, someone wants to learn it themselves, then there has to be places to go to learn it. And there has to be a community to value it. Because look, if we're thinking about a commercial entity, the reason there's so many cows in New Zealand is because we value the product they can make. there is a commercial value to it. If there's no value put to a product, even Māori, then it will die away. Yes, there'll always be passionate people who will learn it for the sake of learning it, but if it has a place to go, it has a place to enhance people's lives, and it has a commercial value to it, it will get more people involved with it. And this government is basically demonetizing the Māori language. And I don't want you to take me the wrong way. I'm not trying to say, Māori culture should only be monetized, but I'm just being a realist with you. If you can see a way to commercialize it, if you can see a way for it to take you somewhere, then it's more likely more people are going to learn it. I'm just being a realist with you, Chewy.
It literally puts a value on it.
Yeah.
And these guys are literally taking that value away.
Yep.
And they are going to like this is incentivized in the private sector as well. Like they'll pay people to go out and do these. There's always cultural events for a lot of businesses and that sort of thing. It baffles me why such, like, they're going through line items to try and save money, right? Apparently, like, and they're pissing about $800,000 when they've tripped over themselves to deliver billions of dollars of tax relief for landlords.
Yep.
What's more important? Well,
yeah,
they're showing us what they think is more important, and it's vile. It is just like they can go, oh, we're not racist, we're just looking out for all New Zealanders. No, you are turning the government again to European supremacy. We have no value in this language. It's not English. We have no value in this practice. It's not European based.
But when we want to invite a dignitary over, or we want to hold a like let's bring them out. Let's bring them out.
How many have we got left?
Yeah.
How many have we got left?
Point of order as well, Mr. Speaker. I said $3 a week. My maths were off by a factor of 10. It is obviously $30 a week. 1,500 divided by 52 is about 30 a week. So quickly correcting that. And I apologise. My brain wasn't quite in action. Right, let's get the end of Lloyd, shall we?
It's seen as yet another attack on Māori, and now the Kingitanga movement is mobilising.
Some of these plans are not considering our voice and our view, and you can see that happening in growing concern among Māoridom across the country.
Kingi Heitia has organised a national hui next month, calling for unity.
We're hoping it will be big. We're hoping for a lot of people. The hui is open to absolutely anybody, not just Māori.
No, I won't be attending it. I'll get on with democracy.
That seems very constructive, very supportive.
Support is what Luxon needs. To learn the Te version of the anthem, no bonus for this effort today. Lloyd Bird, News Hub.
Fucking painful.
Yeah. So there you go. So I think we've just hit upon it. And I guess when it comes to voting, I never said this pre the election, but it seems pretty obvious. You're going to vote for a party who holds no value in Māori culture, or a party or a side of politics who wants to see more of it and give it and treat it like the treasure that it is. And that seems to be what we've got. Now, the mumble mouth lip service that Luxon's always done to today. Oh, I'm learning it. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. It's a special place. See, when you have a chance to put your money literally where your mouth is, and you decide to remove that incentive or remove that opportunity or anything like that, then you're actually literally just playing lip service to it. Because there'll be people who are Māori speakers who will have been wooed into those positions with the idea of a bonus that pays a bit better rather than going somewhere else. And what you'll find now is that there'll be fewer fluent Māori speakers in government departments. And look, again, people are going to try and argue back saying, oh, you know what, if it's a part of their heart, they should. I'm just being a realist. If you're going to earn an extra $2,000 working at the organisation down the road that you can working in Parliament, then you're likely to take the $2,000 down the road. It's just the real world. Chewy.
I'm increasingly becoming more and more furious. Look, and it comes from a place of like just realizing what fucking country we live in. You know, this is a language that is not found anywhere else. It is something that is a big part of our international appeal. It is what tourists come to see, is Māori culture. It is what Luxon was happy to cling to when he was CEO of Air New Zealand, to the point of trying to copyright Māori words for his little in-flight magazine. It baffles me that they cannot see the value in the culture that we have here, and they cannot see the blending of European backgrounds, more recent arrivals in this country, and Māori culture. Like I remember seeing at the mall here last Christmas, one of the schools had a kapahaka group.
Mm-hmm.
It was from one of the local schools here in Dunedin, and I looked at that group and I saw kids of Asian descent. I saw Indian and Pakistani kids. I saw Muslims kids. I saw white kids. I saw Māori kids. They were all singing Māori songs. They were all doing kapahaka, and I went, that is where we need to be going. And these old fucks in Parliament have decided, no, it doesn't have any value. We don't need to change that. We're just gonna, like, it's from the same mindset of like a city planner that's just like, we need roads and we need car parks and that's it. We don't need parks. We don't need statues. We don't need public art. We don't need anything like that. It is just bare fucking bones, because nothing outside of that core mission has any value.
Yeah.
It infuriates me. It's so out of step with how I view this country and the people in it.
I guess now, again, reflecting back, if you're looking at a government that's going to leave somewhere between 4 and 5 hours a week for primary school children to do everything creative, woodwork, art, music, drama, PE, because the rest of the time is going to be filled up with an hour a day of reading, writing, and arithmetic, then I guess, in other words, they're not valuing those things in the education system. It just kind of makes sense that they're not going to value Māori being spoken. So here's the thing as well. I would love, maybe we should do this to get someone on who knows more than us, which won't be hard. So why don't Māori withdraw from government opportunities? Like, imagine when, the next high-flying falutin, prince of someone comes along, and Māori just go to this government. You don't just get to roll us out when you want to make a stance. You're fucking us in the house. You don't get to roll us out to try and make the dignitary feel good about, coming to New Zealand and seeing the natives. There's some power in this. If Māori groups withdrew their services from sort of public, involving like public events around National Act New Zealand First, I think that would be a really dynamic, forceful, loud thing to say. Just a thought, cheery thought.
I worry about something like that of like withdrawing from it. It's kind of like giving up ground that you shouldn't give up. I'm kind of the mind of like, if someone tells you to stop doing the thing, then you must increase doing the thing.
It's because you're a Marxist. No, I actually hear you. I guess what I'm wondering is, there is a line somewhere, like, forget Māori and national. There is a line somewhere where Party A is abusing the relationship with Party B. And then when they have their 21st birthday, they roll out Party B and it's all happy families. And then when the party's over, Party B gets abused again by Party A. There's a point in that kind of toxic relationship where it needs to be Party B to going, you're not going to roll me out to play happy families. And that's kind of what it is, actually. It's kind of national playing happy families in public with Māori, but then behind the scenes, they're screwing them with every single thing they put through. So at some point, the Māori may have to go, enough of this toxic relationship. We don't want anything to do with you.
I kind of think of, there's two things that have just sprung into my mind.
Yeah, go.
One of them is more serious than the other. I think about the struggle initially to get Te Reo recognised in the courts. The people that went to court to say this is the language of this country. I demand an interpreter. I demand to state my case in my language. People had to fight for that, but that is now something that is available in the courts. There's translation services and that sort of thing because people fought for it.
Yeah.
And if Luxon thinks that people aren't going to fight for te reo, he hasn't noticed what people have already done. He hasn't noticed how much steam this has picked up in the last 20, 30 years. The other thing that springs to mind is my racist dad. I don't think he is a hardcore committed racist. He is a talented amateur casual racist. But what I remember growing up is he used to watch the Māori news on TV1.
Right.
And I asked him about this once. I was like, you don't speak the language. You're disparaging of these people. Why watch the Māori news? And he just wanted to know what was going to be on the main news before it happened. But in doing that, he was getting a Māori perspective on a lot of stories. He was picking up words every now and then, basically by osmosis. He's still a dick about Māori stuff quite often. But I just found that, like, if Māori culture, if Māori language is around more, people will pick up more. Have you noticed that people's pronunciation of Māori words has got better over the last 20 years, Pat?
I can tell a story about that. Because I've noticed it in Dunedin, because from moving from Auckland to Dunedin 9 years ago this weekend. So this weekend it was 9 years. I came down here, and I've told the story once before, and I remember, because when we came down, it's like a trip down with the kids, and we went through various places. The places just jumped out of my head. The glow caves, Waitomo glow caves, the glowworms. And I was talking to this person, and I was like, oh, down through Waitomo, then down through Taupo, and then and she looked at me like this, and she went, you're the only person who I've heard say that word correctly, other than the person on the weather. And I had another instance. Where I was in Dunedin, and I phoned up. We used to live on Tairi Road, and I said, taxi please. And I was like, Tairi Road, no, number Tairi Road. And the person was like, what? And I said, number Tairi Road. And she went, well, how do you spell it? I went Tiere. And she went, oh, Tairi. And I went, and I'm not, no, I don't say no. I always go, yep. It's not I'm not going to be one of those wankers going, yeah, I pronounce it correctly. I'm sure I'm butchering it the best of times. But what she said was, oh, you just say it properly. And it was a really interesting little observation that they weren't going, oh, we don't say it like that round here. There was actually these couple of interactions where they were going, oh, yeah, I get it, because you're saying it correctly. I don't understand that quite yet. And my story goes, you are right, within Dunedin, I've noticed more and more people, having, I guess, what I would say at least a good go at correct pronunciation, as opposed to getting it right. I think we all butcher it at the best of times. So yeah, I do think that's happening, and I think because it's more marked in Dunedin. Like I came down from West Auckland, I went to Pack and Save in West Auckland in Mount Albert, where there was 40% Pākehā. The other 60% were Māori, Polynesian, Asian, Indian, Arab, everything else. And I came to Dunedin, and the first time I went to Pack and Save here, I counted 50 people. They were all white. And I was like, fucking, where have I moved to? Felt like I was in Scandinavia.
I mean, I'm born and raised in South Canterbury. The South Island is very white, but certainly what I remember is the Māori news being on our TV in our house growing up. And I remember when I started broadcasting, going to Polytech here to do a broadcasting course, there was a tiny little bit of a focus on te reo. But at that point, you started to see the news, the weather presenters putting in more and more and more and more. And for me, the key bit there is they started pronouncing the place names correctly. And Tairi down here is a great example. Otago is a great example. Let me tell you, chat, people in Dunedin just don't know how to say place names. It's not necessarily just the te reo, the place names. It's the ones we brought over from Scotland. When I went to Edinburgh, so a lot of the suburbs and the streets here that we took from Edinburgh, and one of them that makes me laugh is Corstorphine.
Yeah.
That is not how people from Edinburgh say that. And I can tell you that because I tried to get on a bus to that place in Edinburgh and the driver told me that I was saying it wrong. So we just mispronounce stuff. If people don't know this, Otago is a mispronunciation of the name at the head of the harbour, Otago. So you can see how that happens.
But that's
right?
it. But that's the other thing about language. Like there's a place down here in Dunedin. This is taking a bit of a tangent. We'll have to get back to it in a sec. There's a place down in Dunedin called Wingatui, W-I-N-G, Wing, A-T-U-I. And there's this, I was riding the train out to Central Otago. They do a rail trail thing with some friends who'd come down to visit. And the story comes across that there was this farmer and he was shooting at dinner and he winged a tui, and hence the name of the place. And I went, that sounds like horse shit to me. So I did some research. And as you were saying, a mispronunciation, the Māori name for the area is Wahingatui, which means the separating of the birds. So do you think it's this bullshit story about a guy who shot at a bird and he winged a tui, so then he called his land Wingatui, or it's perhaps a mispronunciation of Wahingatui, which is what Māori call that region? So anyway,
there's another one. There's another one.
Are we still going, are we? Okay.
We're still going because it's interesting.
Okay.
Waihola.
Yep.
So why? Water.
Yep.
We know that one.
Yeah.
Slight problem with the rest of the word. There's no L. There's no L in Te Reo.
Yeah.
So what was that? People have gone, well, it might be Waihora. But so yeah, there's heaps of places, and again, it's all incremental. It's all the onward march of improving and learning these things. But like my mum, she works in corrections, and I remember when she started, and she was going on about, oh, we have to do all of this cultural stuff, and they're telling me that I pronounce these places wrong, and it's like, Mum, you're born and raised in the South Island. Everybody said it wrong. What you are being shown very, very gently as an improvement. And flash forward 5 years, her pronunciation has improved massively. And look, that's my focus. Like, my Māori is not great. My pronunciation is not 100%. My promise to people is, if I am corrected, I will try to do better. You know? And that's all anybody needs to do. Like, learn what waka katahi means. Learn how to pronounce. Like, it's just change. Don't be scared of it.
Yeah. And look, this came from that conversation. Let's just circle back quite before we move on to the next story, which is see, this conversation we're having shows that we value the Māori language. It's something worth getting right and fighting for. If the government is not going to value Māori language and the Māori culture, and I mean value it as in when there's a chance to financially support it, not taking money away, then I wonder if people within Māoridom say, well, you don't value us behind closed doors, so we're not going to be your performing puppets in front of on a stage. And that might be another way to make a very clear point. But anyway, let's go on, because if we don't, we're going to be here till midnight. Tangent time, because our tangent time is we're going to talk. Well, look, there's a Māori name, Te Whatu Ora. Just one other thing about that waka kotahi. It's like saying to someone, I can't remember who you are because I don't understand your name. Like, once we name something, that becomes the thing that is. Like Google, for example. Before Google existed, no one knew what Google was. And then Google named itself, and now we know what Google is. The word is has a self-defining time. Whatu Ora, it doesn't matter whether you know or don't know what that word means. You know that Whatu Ora is the place we go to get healthcare, or to get or waka katahi I was saying was to get your cars done. It doesn't matter if you know exactly what the words mean or don't mean. If that's the case, how does anyone ever drive through Taupo again? Oh, I don't know where this is. I don't know what Taupo means, or Whanganui, or somewhere like that. It's like
straight into the lake. Problem solved.
Anyway,
just before we very quickly,
I did see that as well. What you just backing up.
I said that I'll acknowledge a correction, and here it is. Bro, the L is in the Tahu thing. Waihola is in the old Southern dialect. Cool. Happy to learn that. Absolutely. Cool.
Interesting. All right, let's get on to Te Whatu Ora data leaker details his arrest and intentions and interview with prominent conspiracy theory Alex Jones. So this is the dude, Barry Young, and he was today on InfoWars with Alex Jones, and I'm sure all of you guys at least recognise the name Alex Jones. InfoWars' interest in the New Zealand data leak was seen as coverage position Young as a whistleblower. Kiwi conspiracy theorist Liz Gunn has been given prominence in the coverage. It appears the interview between Jones and Young went live on Wednesday. The conspiracy website touted it as, quote, a world exclusive, end quote, and Young's, quote, first major interview, end quote, after the incident which health officials have described as a gross breach of trust and an apparent attempt to spread misinformation. Since the initial release of the data on November 30th, Te Whatu Ora has filed a police complaint and Young was arrested on Sunday. He's been in court, charged with dishonestly accessing a computer, yada, 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 yada. And there he is on with Alex Jones. We're actually going to play a little bit of it. One of my biggest problems with this, one of the things I find most disgusting about this, I mean, we can all find disgust in what the person's done, but I've said this before on the show. There are some instigators, and Liz Gunn is one of them now. There are some instigators at the top of that pyramid who are actively misinforming people who may well be complete believers or may be grifters. It doesn't matter to me. But then they bring people along with them who are sort of cult members who get sucked in. I don't know whether this guy is being sucked in and bought into it by some of those instigators. And if you remember, that's what Paula Penfold was going to call that documentary, The Fire and Fury. It was going to be called The Instigators, because it was talking about those 12 people at the top who were passing out all the mis and disinformation. And then the people who were at the actual event were more the people who kind of got sucked into it. So I don't know whether he's sucked in or whether he's an instigator. So I approach him with a little bit of grace, a little bit. But to the Alex Joneses of the world and the Liz Gunns, I have none. So here's an example of what actually was happening. This is off a Twitter feed, and I'll just show you the first 30 seconds or so. So this is the dude, and he's talking to Liz Gunn, and he is showing her some of the data that apparently shows all the deaths from the vaccine.
So people can find that?
Yeah.
Find my batch?
Yes, they should be
We'll
able
put
to, yes.
Hello.
So what I did was our internal batch ID. I counted the number of vaccinated within that batch, and then I found out who was dead.
Wow, let's have a look.
And so we then look at the percentages ratio.
That sounds
So
very
do we know if these are all
rigorous.
Pfizer, the top 10?
But we'll just listen to the first one.
And this is Pfizer's batch number one.
Batch number
We've had
one.
711 from batch number one
Yep.
vaccinated.
Yep.
152 of those died, which
Yep.
makes
Right. So batch number one, likely the very first batch put through, right? 151 people died. Nothing or nowhere in the data does it say they died of the vaccine. They're trying to sell the story that people were dropping dead in the, like shot, drop dead. The research actually shows, if you delve into it, that these people died like 200 days after they got their vaccine, and the average age of them was 82. So they don't reveal this here, and they don't put it out here. So yeah, there may well have been 711 vaccine. There may well have been 152 people who died within that year, because the average age of the person who died was 82. Which means if it was batch one, as in the first batch ever given out, that was also given to the most vulnerable, the oldest, and the people on the front line. So if it's given to the most vulnerable and the oldest, yeah, there you go. First people vaccinated were really, really old. And I don't question that maybe 21% of those people either have died since this information come out, or what I've seen reports of are within the first 200 days. So we're not going to watch any more of that, but just so you know, they're putting together these deaths, meaning from the vaccine as soon as it happened. There is no evidence for that, and it certainly doesn't say that in the report. But what you're having now is a New Zealand conspiracy theorist get onto this game. Here's an example. Now, I'm not throwing shade on this woman. I don't know who this woman is. I'm just using her tweet. It's public record. So this is what she says. Ellie is her name. So she advertises the actual event. Our beautiful whistleblower Barry Young and Alex Jones discussing the data release, discussing the data, how he reached out to, this is the bit about what I was saying earlier, about how if you're not 100% for them, you're against them. right? And these guys who have touted relationship with these people like Peters, and down here you see Sean Plunkett, how he reached out to Winston Peters both on phone and email before releasing the data. Winston, you didn't pick up the phone. Were you lying about an inquiry? Why did you not respond? Barry emailed all members of Parliament, including you, Chris Lux, and all of the executive team of Ministry of Health. Our new government was just as corrupt as the last. Winston Peters, you are a lying son of a bitch. So Winston Peters actively wanted these people's support, right? He went after them. He got them. He fooled them. He got them on board. And now he's not dancing to their tune, so he's becoming the enemy. I'm going to play some of the actual interview on Alex Jones. Do you want to jump in with anything before we do that, Joey?
No, let's roll with this. I want to see how the Pfizer vaccine has turned the frogs gay or whatever.
Yeah, the frogs gay. First thing I'll have you notice over here to the right-hand side, there's another Liz Gunn has come out. Lists her as a lawyer first and then an investigative journalist. Yes, she has practiced law, I think, in the late 1970s. So this is a conversation just towards the end. I'm only going to give you 60 seconds. Don't panic. And I'll just play it. If I can know how to play it. Where do I push play? What's going on? Chewy.
Play.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Here we go.
Oh.
That's just why you're so awesome, brother. Because I'll be honest, if I was doing what you were doing, I'd already be thinking 5 steps ahead. You are such a sweetheart. Your family, your lady, you're such sweethearts. Closing comments here that you want to impart to folks.
I just want to say I'm doing this for the people of New Zealand.
Make it good, bro. You don't need to.
For the kids, for our grandchildren, our Mokapuna, our Tamariki. This is for them. And this data set holds a lot of river of tears. I've already said that. There's a lot of deaths in this data that need to be questions.
A lot of deaths of 82-year-olds 12 months after having the vaccine.
Need to be asked, and a lot of people have died to bring this data to the.
A lot of people have died to bring this data. You said this is the what? Are you saying that there was a SEAL Team 6 went in to get it? A lot of people gave up their lives for this data.
Public's attention. Don't let them die in vain.
It was George Orwell that said, in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. You are a hero because we become cowards.
There you go. That's what I'm going to play for you. But I'm going to play one other thing. And so this is what he's just done. He's had this interview, and this is the kind of stuff that he finishes it with. You ready for this? I'm saying he's literally grifting. Now, that man looks like a believer. So he's completely fooled by the system. He's been sucked in by someone, and he's gone down that rabbit hole. And then this man gets that man's illness, sickness, cult-like status, and he does this to it.
It's been 2 hours since I plugged. And if I plugged every segment, we'd have plenty of money. It's true. But I get so obsessed with covering news, keep knocking my clip off here in my earpiece. I get so obsessed with covering news, I skip the breaks, I skip the ads and everything. Please go now to InfoWarsStore.com. Go there, store-wide free shipping, biggest sale of the year. Do your Christmas shopping there, support freedom.
He literally,
InfoWarsStore.com.
He literally says, I need money for the courts.
Turbo Force, 10-hour clean energy, back in stock selling out. And all that stuff keeps free speech and InfoWars on the air. That's wonderful. Do that. Plus, they're great products. But the court has said, oh, yeah, Jones can get part of the money from his book sales.
The court has said.
So that's what's paying my legal bills, and the court ruled I had to pay half of them. So the real chink in the armor is I'm $2 million+ in the hole.
There you go. So he's literally grifting off this man's delusion to get money to pay his court fees and lawyers because he's been sued for, I think it was $2.4 billion. And I mean, we haven't really covered this week. I don't know if there's any really worthiness of covering this, but I wanted to bring it to us because it's probably the actual news for New Zealand is probably going to stay out there in the news headlines while this guy goes through the court case, Joey. There you go, sir. The floor is yours.
I'm just amazed that Alex thinks he's going to dig himself out of all of this hole that he's put himself in by hawking gas station dick pills to strangers over the internet. Also, I want to point out that this guy, this whistleblower, in high school, I tread the boards and did Shakespeare and did a little bit of the thespian. And
forsooth.
Believe me, as someone that did a lot of high school level acting, I know it when I see it. That guy, it's for the mock-up on us. What? I've also identified who died to get the information.
All right, let's hear it.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information.
All right.
They just keep dying.
Yeah.
I'm very good at staying alive.
Yeah. Martin agrees with you on some level. He says gas station dick pills with a great punk band from Norway.
The Viagra boys.
Well, I'm pretty much done. We've had a bit of a rant and a rave around a few things. Anything we want to get to in the chat? There's a few that are starred there. Oh, there's Anakihi's got another super chat there. Anakihi, thank you for the $5 super. It's hypocritical they value the Kiwi and protect it due to its rareness and exclusivity to New Zealand, but Te Reo, despite being rare and exclusive, is not. Yeah, I mean, really good point.
I mean,
perfect
why
point.
do we protect it? Why do we protect the Kiwi? I don't even know what its meat tastes like. It has no value.
Gosh, I wonder if anyone does. I wonder if anyone living today knows what Kiwi meat tastes like. Don't want to know myself, but anyway.
They do look like they have big drumsticks.
Oh, the kiruru looks the best. Those big fat fuckers, they look like they'd be good in a pot. Sorry, I haven't had dinner yet. I'm a bit peckish.
Look, what did I see it referred to as once? The forbidden KFC.
I saw the best one today. What did I see? The best comment today about comparing someone. I saw a tweet where someone referred to Donald Trump as the I think it was the melon Mussolini. The melon Mussolini? The Mandarin Mussolini is what it was. He referred to him as the Mandarin Mussolini. I thought that was just genius. I love that a lot.
Couple of other comments that I like. Politikiwi, my high school's Te Reo teacher also ran the Kapa Haka group and used to say that there's nothing cringe about white guys doing haka like they're Māori, but there's nothing more cringe than them half-assing it. Yes, absolutely. Look, I don't know if this was common to a lot of schools. I remember my high school's Kapa Haka and Te Reo teacher, Mr. Mahara. I even remember his name. This dude was deaf in one ear because he worked artillery in Vietnam.
Okay.
For the army, and he was just awesome. And I don't know where this came from, but one day I said kia ora to him, and I didn't say it kia ora. I said it kia ora. And I probably picked it up from the Māori news that my dad watched. But he commented, he goes, "Oh, ketipai," he said, good pronunciation and that sort of thing. And I was on cloud 9 at that point. I was like, "Fuck yeah, good." Carl's got a great comment here as well. They want to leverage Māori when there's a benefit to brand New Zealand. Otherwise, there's no value. It's only valuable in service to capitalism.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, Māori, you should take that to heart and then only give it to them. If they're going to play the capitalist game, then you should only give it back in the form of capitalism. And if they're undervaluing it, then, the whole capitalism, what something's worth is what you pay for it. And if they value it at nothing, then don't give it to them for free.
Yep, absolutely. And Ava, here, I honestly think they're out of step on this. We're coming up on 4 decades since the Māori Language Act. Median age in New Zealand is 39. Half the population has grown up hearing Te Reo, and it's increasing.
Yeah,
like it's more and more and more. The kids in school learn more Te Reo than I ever did. So yeah, it shows who they're listening to.
Yep.
And it shows what the people that they're listening to value.
Yep.
And it isn't the culture that is from here.
No, I think that's something that we've worked out tonight together, is that Seymour doesn't value it. He doesn't value a bunch of this stuff. He actually said, and I'm paraphrasing, that it has no value it doesn't add anything to a government department. He has no value in it. So of course, if it's got no value, he's going to get rid of it. But I guess what that means, if you're thinking politically, is when the other side get back in, whether it's 3 years or 6 years or 9 years or whatever it's going to be, if they bring value to it, then it will live again. It will ride again.
Like,
I just hope it doesn't disappear.
The template is out there. Welsh speakers had to follow the same path.
Yep.
I think of someone I know from Finland. She's a poet, and the government pays her to write in Finnish, because the Finns almost lost their language when they were part of Sweden and they were part of Russia, and they had to fight to preserve their language. And they've been independent now for over 100 years, and they're still fighting for their language. So, these things have and you'll never have someone go, oh, there's no point in learning Finnish because it's no good outside of Finland. These countries see the error in that. Like, again, it's that small-minded thing, we're such a small country, nobody cares about Māori anywhere else. It doesn't matter. I don't care what someone in France thinks of Māori. I don't care what someone in any other country thinks about Māori. What do we think about Māori?
Yeah.
That's
100%.
the important thing. Back ourselves.
And I like that once you see it becoming prominent, a language, then it moves into media, and then it becomes more prominent. An example of the Welsh language at the moment is, I don't know if you've watched Welcome to Wrexham at all, Chewy, but Welcome
I love
to
that
Wrexham.
program. Yep.
Yeah, so they'll talk about something. I can't think what they talked about, but like, let's say it's someone says, I'm going to the corner store, and then they have a little slide that comes up and it goes, English, corner store, American, 7-Eleven, and then they have the Welsh word down the bottom for what the corner store is. And it just bring, pops up maybe 2 or 3 times a show. And it's done in a kind of humorous way, but it's also done in a way to go, this is a Welsh team. We're in Wales. This is a part of who they are. And so we're showing it to the world. And I mean, it's a little example, but as everyone said, we don't really need to beat a dead horse about this. But you're talking then about, I don't care what someone in France thinks about it. Until that person from France comes to New Zealand and wants to see New Zealand culture, then they care a lot about it. So, someone in France does care about it sometimes, or when they want to watch the All Blacks.
We've got a sports-related comment. And I think it's actually very, very true here. You could probably draw a very straight line through a stand that this person made. Buck Shelford told the All Blacks, if you're going to do the haka, then we're going to do it properly.
Yep.
Now, you go back and you look at recordings of the haka before Buck Shelford and after, and like, rugby is such a core part of this country for better or ill. Like, I remember when people would,
hang on, for better, don't do that. It's just for better.
Sure. I'm not going to fight you on this one.
Okay. Go.
I remember people either unable or unwilling to sing the Te Reo part of the national anthem.
You mean like Christopher Luxon tonight?
Yep.
Like that?
Yeah, you just mumble. That has eroded away as people learned more of it, and it just sounds good. The haka, go back and look at the haka from the 70s. Holy shit, it is cringe. And look where we are now.
Look where we are now. Let's say a huge thanks to wrap up the show to our beautiful patrons, and thank you for doing what you guys do. If you are at all interested in supporting what we do, patreon.com/Big Hairy News. And of course, remember, if you'd like to be involved in our last drip drop, see what I did there? Drip drop of the year. You'll be able to order until Friday morning 9 a.m. and all of these will be going away and disappearing. It's the last chance for you to get an OB gear. Next year the OB gear goes away, it won't ever be back again. If you want to signify that you're on board from day one, original beardy gear. I look forward to having a much smaller number of drip to send out next week, because today was a freaking nightmare, although I love you all to bits. Number one in Swaziland is still there. Equality feels like oppression is still there. That's if you've got power or privilege. And of course the BHN merch is there as well. Only till Thursday, then the site will be coming down, or at least the stuff will be coming down, so no one will be able to buy after that until till whatever happens in 2024. And remember, if you're interested in what happens in 2024, you can go to my Twitter feed. There is a tweet pinned to the top of that to talk a bit about 2024. Still keen to hear from a bunch of you. All good, Chewy? You're looking around like there's something else to say?
I see a question in the chat of what was that website pointing out official information.
I've got some news about that.
Oh, do you now? Tangent time. The website is fyi.org.nz. It is interesting reading if you've got a moment to kill.
I heard from the OIA requester.
Oh, yes.
Who doesn't want to be identified. And like we said last night, maybe it's just someone who's...
Tell me offline.
No, I don't know. Who, as I said at the end last night, because there's nothing in those emails, maybe and it's not a journalist and it's not an organization, so maybe it was just someone who was trying to see what the story was, and and that's basically what it is. Someone who says that they are someone who wants to understand TVNZ fair use policies and handle their things like what they did to me. That's it.
Oh, there's no conspiracy.
No conspiracy.
How can we make money out of it if there's no conspiracy?
I know. It's like there's
Someone's
no
out to get us, chat. Buy
We
our
can't-
gas station dick pills.
We can't do a press release to say, here's my latest book and I can get $7 per book off this, and the court said I can keep some of this money. Herd gay frogs. All right. I'll leave you with my Alex Jones impression there. And we'll catch you now. Remember, tomorrow night, we have got Discord, which we open up, and a chance for you guys to have a chat. I think we're here. Actually, we haven't talked about this, Chewy. Are we here till the 21st of December? About that? That's sort of what we're thinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ish?
Yeah. On that, I'm not here next Wednesday.
Oh.
You're sorry, not next Wednesday, next Monday. You're hearing that here first.
I need a co-host. Anyone want to co-host? Give us a shout. You can come co-host with me. That'd be quite fun, actually. Get someone from the chat to come and co-host for a night. Just let them do all the work. All right, guys. I love you to bits. We'll see you tomorrow night from 9 p.m. for another edition of Big Hero News. Discord will be open in the second half of the show if you've got anything you want to add. And until then, be safe. Tomorrow night, bring a friend. Hooroo.
Cheers, fam.